Reno Photo Club. What's going on, guys? Thank you so much again for the opportunity. I think this is my third time doing this for you guys. I'm currently in Las Vegas. I'm in a hotel room. We're here for WPPI. It's the second to last day. A little bit tomorrow, then I'm heading home. I did bring all the prints and everything with me. They're sitting behind me right here. And I'm going to be going over a photo review, portfolio review, critique of your guys' images. I haven't looked at any of these photos at all at this moment. But I'm also going to be throwing this on YouTube as well. So if you guys want to find this, you're more than welcome. You can find me on YouTube. I'm a commercial wedding and portrait photographer. I go under the company name of Jeramie Photography. I've been shooting for about 12 years. I am primarily a commercial and wedding photographer, so I shoot a lot of commercial work, but I shoot about 35 weddings a year. I shoot everything, and within a point, you find your niche and you find what you're good at. So I'm going to be going and reviewing these, and in the past what I've done was I've kind of reviewed, talked about it, found some things that I initially had questions on, answered them, and just what I see as a photographer. What I do want to tell you is that just because I say something doesn't mean it's a go, right? It's an art. So you take what you take and you don't take what you don't take. If you don't agree with me, I totally respect that. But if you can hear what I'm saying in between the lines, you can actually get a little bit better. At any point, if you feel like your photography is at its top game, honestly, just quit. There is no such thing as being there. I still do a shoot every single day, and I still go home and I go, I should have done this. I could do this better. I should have done this. And it makes what I do a lot more fun. I will never, ever tell you that I'm at the top of my game, because I never think that is. Even being at WPPI right now, seeing all these amazing photographers, all this amazing new tech and gear that are coming out, bought a bunch of stuff today, so I'm super excited about using it. So yeah, if you guys want to follow that stuff, feel free to follow me on YouTube and you can see some cool things. I'm happy to answer questions and comments, and you can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. So there's no reason why you can't find me. If you have any specific questions, please let me know. So within this, I do know from what I remember, there's a USB here that I'm giving to Todd. And then in here is kind of, name of the photo, a score of 1 through 15, and just a little bit more information on monochrome and all that. So I'm just going to kind of go through it, and I will give you guys my initial thoughts. I will rate everybody, but I will say that the rating system for me is a little off because, I don't really think of anybody as pro or amateur or anything. I'm not going to look at it like that. I'm just going to look at the image and see what I see. And so I'll figure out the judging criteria for that. But just know that just for doing this, guys, it's a huge step. There's so many photographers that are afraid of getting critiqued, and there's so many photographers that will fight back that it makes it not even fun anymore. Every time you do a shoot, feel free to ask somebody what they think and then ask them why. If somebody comes and says, I don't like this, ask them why. Figure out what they don't like about it. And don't just ask photographers, ask the norms. Ask the normies that are around you who are not photographers, and maybe you can learn a little bit, because guess what? Most of the time, the people that aren't looking at it, especially if you're in my world, aren't professional photographers. And if I have to explain to them depth of field or minimal focus or exposure levels or exposure meters, they're going to be like, but I look fat. I don't care. And so you get to that point where you're like, well, it's still, we have to figure it out, okay? So I'm going to go through these. I'm going to try to make this video quick for you guys. I'm going to try to keep it under an hour. We'll see if that happens. I will have to probably do 2 videos, put it on one, because my card here my camera only does it at 30-minute increments, and we'll go from there. Oh, thank God I just read this, Todd, because I will do so. So I will give you guys some information on as much as I can on the image before I talk about it. But without further ado, let's get into this. Let's get into this Reno Photo Club. Hope you guys are doing well. I don't know if you guys are all sitting down together, but hopefully you have a drink. Hopefully you guys are talking to each other. If you can, have nothing to write with. I don't know if that's against the rules or not. Just sit there and listen and enjoy this amazing backdrop that I have going on with my room. Okay. Red paper. So it looks like I'm starting on the monochrome just because there's no color to this. And we're going to open this up. So I'm assuming you guys are going to see these in detail, so I don't need to do this every single time. So if it helps, if this is yours, please just know that I'm looking at it and I'm critiquing it as well. cool. This is Bodie, California by Peter Moores. Bodie is freaking amazing. I want to visit there again. I did a quick through a few years ago shooting a wedding in Yosemite, so I know this area. I want to find some ghosts. Okay, so this looks to be a landscape shot. It's wide. It looks like some snow, obviously monochrome. One of the things, Peter, that when I shoot landscape, the difference between a good and a bad landscape image is the focal point, is where I'm actually looking at the in the image. Now, it's very easy for us to take an image like this, shoot it wide, make it black and white, and be done with it. But it's an artist that will actually make my eye go to where it needs to go. And that's where we are as photographers, right? We need to make sure that we're directing our people to where they need to go with their eyeballs. Now, when I look at this, yes, I can tell it's a city. I don't know it's Bodie until you told me that. But I don't know where I'm looking, if that makes sense. Now, your f-stop's high, so we have a good area of focus here. So we're kind of focused on everything. As I look at it, I can see this little town in the back, town in the front, looks like a cemetery to the left. And I'm actually intrigued. The detail's actually really, really good on this, because as I'm looking through, I can see the slats of the wood on the housing, the barns, and it looks really cool. The only thing I would say with this that I could feel needs improvement is my focal point. Like, what am I looking at? And that could have been an easily adjustment of where you're standing in front of something, or even editing it so that the light is purposefully brighter on certain aspects of this image. Maybe when you're editing, you're dodging and burning, and you're dodging maybe one of these houses or one of these houses, and my eye goes there directly, or even in the middle, or even adding a vignette to everything. And then the only other thing is I wish the sky was a little bit darker, a little bit cloudier, and just watch some of your sensor, get your sensor cleaned, because there's a little kind of dust spot right there. And that's one of the things that I hate, because it's so easily fixable, but you have to spend the money to do that. So, sweet. All right, we're getting into portraits next. This one is Nubian Host by Peter Moores. Cool, man. So, Peter, I like this. I don't know if this was actually, I don't know what Nubian is. I don't know where that is. Nubia? India? I don't know. But this is cool. So is this a candid shot, or is this a shot of a guy that you made look candid? Either way, I like the square format of it. Square format always reminds me of Instagram now, so something that he can post and kind of put up. Looking at this, it looks pretty good, man. Your bokeh looks great. The depth of field is pretty good on this. The focus is on his eye, I believe. Yeah, I like this. So to me, I'm going to call this a candid shot. He has no idea you're taking this picture. You're just taking this picture from afar with a long lens, and you're getting the shot. I do like the detail. The only thing, though, is I wish his eyes were a little bit more lit. If you can go in and fix this a little bit, I would actually brighten just the orbit of the eye just to add a little bit of pop to that, because it is a little dark. Or in general, I think if you up the brightness or exposure of the entire image, it would actually help a little bit as well. But I do like this. Now, with that being said, it's a square format. It's really close. I would like to see more of it. This part right here is really distracting. If you're looking at the image, it's on the right side of the image's ear. It looks like, I don't know, something on a wall, something of half a circle. And it's distracting because my eye keeps going there. Now, one of the tricks that I told everybody before we're going to use on all these images is before you finish an image, flip it upside down, whether you're in Lightroom, Photoshop, or your phone or whatever, flip it upside down and look at it again. You're looking at it with fresh perspective, fresh eyes this time. And whatever kind of pops out at you is distracting, right? But if whatever pops out at you is what you want people to look at, you're good to go. So when I look at this, that's what I see too. I see this, and the only reason is I think it lines up with this, but it doesn't match. So the shirt kind of comes up, comes in, and it doesn't match fully. So great shot, great candid shot. If it's not candid, I'm sorry. It just looks candid to me. Oh, I like this paper choice. Truck in Benton, Hot Springs, fits Group A? Group A. Very cool. I believe I saw some of your work last year, but I can't 100% remember. So this is of a old truck, old car, and California license plate, which I'm assuming means it's still running. I like the paper choice. The gloss on this actually works really well. High f-stop. I am irked just a little bit on the placement of the truck opposed to where you're standing. You are in the middle of being too centered and not centered enough, meaning that I would have loved to see this shot either directly in front of the truck or to the side and angle the truck in maybe a longer shot. So as I'm looking at this image, since it is black and white, I can almost not tell that these slats are part of the truck. It's almost like the truck ran through a building. But otherwise, it looks pretty good. I feel like this truck is a, I don't know, is this one that's, yeah, it looks like the tires are flat. It's just not doing anything, right? So one thing that I highly suggest whenever taking pictures, especially of still things, and this is how my mindset goes when I'm looking at this and thinking about you, Fritz, is you're out on location somewhere, maybe you're hiking, maybe you're touring someplace, you see this cool truck and you're like, I want to get a picture of it. So this is the normal standing picture, right? You're standing, you take a picture of it, looks great, I documented it, great. What I want to see out of this next time is take this picture, cool, but now change your angle. I'm sure you have other angles, I'm just assuming, but I would love to see maybe an angle shooting up, an angle shooting down, maybe an angle from the side, maybe kind of a turned angle, maybe showing me details of it is an abandoned car, it is broken, and I want to see that thing. Remember, we're telling a story of these imagery, of these images themselves. We're telling stories every time we take a picture, and I want to know that story. The other thing that kind of bugs me is the off-centeredness of it, how it's kind of curving into here and there. Otherwise, I mean, it's a really detailed picture. You can tell the paint's coming off. The windows looks like some cracks or some spider webs. So the detail's really well in it. I would just like to see a little bit more of an artistic eye that shows us who Fritz is. All right, my boy, bicycles, Fritz again. All right, I like this. So I like symmetry. I like symmetric things. I think it's cool. Automatically, our eye goes to the wheels, which is good job on that. It took me a second to figure out if it was the back or the front of bikes, and it looks like it's all pretty naturally lit, well lit in the center. This is actually a really good picture. You can't really do anything much with it. Maybe a bike rental place. Oh my God, can I even see what that says right there? All Fuji, different types of bikes. But this is pretty good. It's a pretty good image. There's not much to say about it because I feel like it is another candid shot, right? Where you just kind of came about this and took this picture. It looks good. The detail's good. The light's good on the tires and wheels. I don't know if you did any extra editing, but I can actually see like the brightness or the light and the dark of the wheels. So good job on that. And same paper as used before. So good paper choice on that. And I don't know if this is your standard paper, but I think paper choice is always really important for anything with water, sky, reflective. I like a little glossy paper, and then matte for pretty much everything else. I'm a big matte person. Ooh. Okay, it's this way. All right, this is Marie Schreiber, Lady Curtains and Lamp. Lady Curtains and Lamp. Maria, why are we calling these lady curtains? Is that what they're called? Or are these curtains that ladies would use, or are we just assuming a lady put these up? I'd actually like to know. So, Lady Curtains and Lamp, you're shooting into a window. Looks like an old window. I do like that you framed this naturally. When I picked it up, I thought it was a matted framed picture, but it's not. This actually looks, this is kind of neat. I want to say Virginia City. I want to say something like that. I'm not 100% sure. The only thing that irks me about this, and I'm going to use irk as like, not the beneficial thing, is stuff's happening behind the lamp, right? We get it. Things happen behind the lamp, but it's not bright enough that I know what it is, and it's not dark enough that I can't ignore it. What I would have liked you to have done, or can do in the future, is actually go in and burn the background a little bit and make it dark. And that way the lamp actually focuses, because your title is Lady Curtains and Lamp. And I see window, I see lamp, I see curtains, and I see something happening behind it. I would like to just see Lady Curtains and Lamp. But it's a great picture. It's also like an old-timey lamp, maybe like a gas lamp or a little lit lamp. but it looks really cool. And then the only other thing is your angle choice. So next time, like we talked about Fritz's picture last, the angle choice is key, because right now we're shooting it at a weird angle of the window, and the lamp is almost hiding behind the curtain. If we could move out just a little, we could see a little bit more of the lamp, but actually get a symmetrical of the curtain. And symmetry on stuff like this is key for me, so that I can look at it and figure it out. I saw the title, which means I kind of knew what I was looking at. But if I didn't see the title, would I still know? I don't know. I don't know how it works. Marie Schreiber again, a view of Bodie. Do you guys all just go to Bodie? Is that a Reno Photo Club thing? Okay, so Marie, you are at Bodie, you have your camera, and you take a picture. I do not know what I'm looking at, but I'm going to work this out, okay? Because I'm going to figure this out, because I'm sure when you were taking this picture, it was photo worthy, right? You were like, this is a cool area I want to see. So I want to see it too. So looks like we have some sagebrush here. Looks like I have a fence. And it looks like, okay, it's a fence of a house. There's a house here and this. But looking at this, it's too cluttered. I don't know what I'm looking at. And that's the difficult part. We have to assume that people have no idea what we're shooting, and we're telling them what we're looking at. So when I look at this, I don't know what I'm looking at, and I think simply because of the angle. You're shooting up on this fence. I see the chimney of the house, and I see the roof of a house, and I don't know if this house is connected to this other building right here that actually looks really cool. I love the shape of this building, but I would have liked to see it from the front. So looking at this image, you have a high f-stop. Our shot is pretty wide for the camera that you're using, but I don't know what I'm looking at, and that right there is not the best thing for me, because I want you to tell me what I'm looking at without me having to spend all that time figuring it out, even though I like doing that. I actually like going through people's images and figuring out what they're thinking at the same time. Really good use of contrast though, because of the high noon sky right here. I can see the sun is peeking this way, and your exposure is actually spot on. So technique-wise, I don't think that anything was wrong. I just think for me, not knowing what I'm looking at, that might be at a fault to me. But good job. Back to the people. All right, Samantha Bellwood, Reflections. Cute. I don't know if this is your kid or not. I don't know how old you are, Samantha, so maybe kid, grandkid. Or maybe this is you. I don't know if you're super young and taking pictures. Here's what I like. I love, love, love this candid shot. This is the type of stuff that I do. This is the type of stuff that I do for my family and my kids, so that they have this when they're older and they get to look through it. Now, I wish it's overexposed for me. I don't know technically if you're looking at this image, editing it, and you think the exposure is correct. What I would like to have seen is I like to focus on the girl's face more. Girl, I think this is, it's a dress. And what happens if you lower that exposure, the right side of the image is going to go darker. Then we get to target in here where we actually have a little bit of room to go a little bit darker as well. Darker, darker, and then we get to focus on the face looking through a mirror. We know we're looking through a mirror or a window or a glass plate or whatever because of the reflection. And that's what I want to focus on. I think the outside here, the top here, doesn't really matter. So we can bring it down just a little bit. And that's just a personal preference on my end. But I don't know if you're using a histogram when you're editing, but the histogram might actually show the same thing that I'm seeing as well. And, whenever you're using a histogram on a black and white image, use the red channels when you're looking at it. You can either look at the whole thing or it's usually RGB. Look at the red channels, and the red channels are usually our skin because our skin is a little bit more red than the world, unless you're shooting with red backdrops and stuff. But super cute kid and very candid. I don't know how many shots you took to get this, but you got it. The other thing is it looks like the eye's in focus, and that's really what I care about. If you're shooting portraits and there's an eyeball involved, make sure the eye's in focus. Simple as that. Okay. Murder. So that's the first thing I think of. Please title it Murder. All right, Samantha Bellwood. This is Louie. Louie. Is that a different kid? I don't know if it's the same kid or not. It doesn't matter. It's a little kid holding a stuffed bear. Now, Panda, is this a candid shot or not? If it is, great job, kids hanging out, living the life. If it's not, couple things that I want to focus on, because my eye goes to places where it shouldn't be going. And I'm not talking about like in a kid way, but like right here on the shorts, it's not even. And I want it to be even because I want to focus on the teddy bear. I want to focus on everything that's happening. Also, this line that's happening in the middle shouldn't be there. We should take that out in Photoshop because we have the ability to do so. And then what happens is then we just get to look at this. Now, I'm not sure if you guys dodge and burn or know how to use that yet, but dodging and burning is an old school technique back in film. I never did film. I just know this because I know this. But you darken the areas that need to be darkened with burning. You dodge it to make things brighter. Remember that our eye goes to the brightest part of any image usually, right? So I want to know what I'm supposed to be looking at here. Am I supposed to be looking at the panda or am I supposed to be looking at the legs? What is my target here? And that is your job to tell me. So when I'm looking at this, I would have loved if you could have burned this or dodged the panda, burn the rest, or so forth, or burned this, go up to the panda, and then I can focus on it. Now, there's a skill to it, so you play with it where you don't look at any hard lines when you're dodging and burning. You don't want it to look fake. But that's what I want to know. The only other thing, I would crop it differently, either higher up to show more of the kid's back, or tighter to just show maybe legs and bear and figure out what I'm looking at. But the crop right here is at a hip joint, and we never crop at a joint, wrist, elbow, because it looks like it's missing rather than there. So right now, the way we crop it, I mean, I can see part of a shirt here, which I would fix as well. And you know, taking that extra second to be like, stay right there, let me fix this, boom, boom, and then retaking that picture can make all the difference in the world. Ooh. Ooh, what kind of paper is this? Yaz Sharif, Carson Valley cow. I like that you put Carson Valley cow, because I don't know where cows are different anywhere. The back's really cool paper. I don't know what it is. It just felt weird, but it's really cool. All right, Sharif, Yaz, or Yaz. I like this. I like this. So I think a lot of times when we shoot people and animals, we tend to go, the eye is the focus, right? But sometimes with animals, it's harder because they have that snout, they have the eyes, and our focus tends to go away. Staring at this image, the focus is like right here on the nose and not actually the eye. And what that does is it puts the eye out of focus. The only issue with that at this point is that the animal's actually looking at you. If the animal wasn't looking at you, the focus can be anywhere and it'll look cool, right? So again, like before we mentioned, one thing that I want you guys to focus on, especially on taking pictures that are going to captivate and make me think, is that let's not just stand straight, hold the camera, and take a picture. Let's get low, let's get high, let's get to the side, let's shoot through a bush. Let's do something different that's going to be like, you're a photographer, right? Because let's be honest, anybody can just stand up, go in auto mode, get a camera, and get a decent shot nowadays. I do it on my iPhone all the time where I don't even think anymore. I just lift it up, boom, got the picture, and it's pretty good. But it's not a photographer's image. So I want you to think of this. Now, this is a great concept and theoretically a good image. I mean, it's technically a good image, but I want something more for you. I want something to play with you. I'm actually super interested. This is R11 right here. What that also means to me is that R11 means that there's other cows around that have these as well because they're tracking them for a certain reason, right? So it would have been cool to see maybe other cows, this cow in focus, maybe a little, like a longer shot, this cow in focus with other cows in the background, and then we could have kind of seen everything. This is in Carson Valley, super cute cow. There's also, I don't know if this is your print or not, there's like a blue tone to it, which actually makes it feel a little older than it is, which might be your goal. Cute. I think it's gonna be Yaz again, huh? No, it's not. Oh, we're changing. This is Brenner M. Ross Castle in Ireland. You guys travel quite a bit. I've never been to Ireland. Okay. All right, cool. All right, what's your name again? Brenner? Is that your last name? Is that last name? M. Brenner. Good job. I love this. I love this, and this is what I'm talking about. My eye went directly to this castle. If you could, I would have made the ambient a little bit darker by just either dodging this and then lowering the exposure of everybody, or burning the whole thing and leaving that the way it is. And the reason is I want my eye to go there. But looking at this, you're obviously very far away, long lens, you're shooting over water, but this is a focal point, right? You're making me look at the castle, and in turn, everything else is kind of blurred out and going away. Why does that look so good to us? That looks so good to us because that's the way we naturally see things. Anytime you look at anything, and the best tip is looking at your finger's in focus, everything gets blurred out. If you look at your finger and everything else is in focus, something's wrong. Your brain feels like something's wrong. And that's what happens when we take images that are too wide and everything's in focus. When we're shooting at f22, 20, 22, 19, 18, whatever, it always feels like an amateur picture because that's not how our brains are wired, and that's not why. That's why always shooting at like an f1.4, f2 is always beautiful, because that's how we look at things in general, right? That's why we do things the way that we do it, because our brain. But looking at the detail in this is awesome. I don't know if you added saturation. I see people walking into the building, which is kind of neat. Homie right there, and I like that you left it in. Normally I'd say Photoshop them out. Looks like there's a house on top of this castle. Holy crap, this is cool. This is really good. And the detail right here looks really good. Now that I'm looking at it, I don't like this part. The sun. Are these rays natural? If they are, holy crap, that is like a thing. Also, it makes me think that this image, no, it's not a long exposure because these guys are walking. That's the only thing. Did you add the sun after? It doesn't look real. It doesn't look natural when everything else looks natural. Now, there's nothing wrong with adding things like this, but I want the whole image to be fantasy. I don't want realism and then all of a sudden, boom, this. And the only thing I'm looking at is the rays. The rays coming down are adding kind of like this weird glow to the image, and I'd rather it be clearer. So if it was there, then cool. If you added it, I'd love to know. I'd love to know if this is a Photoshop thing or not. Cool beans. Ooh, is this the same El Castle? Yeah. All right, Brenner, is this you again? Brenner M, Ross Castle, this is well, you called this number 1, so the other one's number 2. Different angle, same castle, right? I can almost guarantee that everything you did in the last one is the exact same settings as this. So whether your f-stop was the same, your shutter was the same, everything was the same. The clouds are showing a little bit more. So now we might be on the other side of the sun, where the sun's peeking down instead of shooting towards it or against it. And this looks good. Your focal is still that castle. And you're shooting in the moat now, or the lake, or whatever it's called. Your angle is the stand-up shoot. You're gonna hear me say this a lot. Your angle is just that stand-up shoot. I would have loved this to be down and up, right? If you were in the bushes and shooting through the bushes like a gobo, and just boom, right up there and getting that shot, that would have been cool. Or above and shooting down. You're standing in a way that I would stand if I was just like a homie who didn't care about castles. But it looks pretty good. Who are these people? Are they tourists? Are they hanging out? What's happening? Everything I said before is kind of the same thing. The sun is not involved in here, so there's not that unrealism part. So good job on that. Here's a bird right here. Oh man, I thought it was gonna be quick. Sorry guys. It's like a 50-minute. It's gonna be like a 60-minute video. Oh, snow mountains. Oh, over clouds. This is a high shot. This is Break of Day on Mount Denali by Judy Duffy. Judy, cool. I am curious to know where you were here. I'm curious. I mean, okay, you're on Mount Denali. I'm curious to know where you're standing when this picture was taken. This is neat. Here's what I like about it. I like that it's white. I like that there's a definitely sun side and a shade side, and it gives me contrast. Looking at this, almost looks like somebody kind of just like cut part of the mountain off. So very good. You got this at a really good point of the day, and it almost reminds me of like a Bob Ross painting, which is what I really like. I do like that the clouds are here, and I like this. But ultimately, there's not much more to say about it, right? It's a mountain. There's snow. The contrast is there is good. If I could have done anything, I would have brought the shadows down on the dark side a little bit more, and play with this if you can. How about if you made this all super dark, 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 and just brought the highlights up so that the sunlit white snow part shows up and just made that a grand image. How cool would that be just to have this like shadow or this cut happen? See if you can play with that and see if that will do anything. But this is pretty good. This is pretty good. Oh, Judy Duffy, Snowy Bitter Brush. You like snow, huh? Cool. All right, so I've been explaining to everybody, get a different angle. I'm assuming a different angle. It looks like you're shooting up on this little tiny mountain or thing that has snow on it. Looks like fresh snow, nobody's touched it. Great angle and perception on this. Great use of the sky. And this is all what monochrome's all about. Black and white images are all about, sepia, whatever. It's about taking away the color and the detail, right? We're not looking at the color of the bush. We're not looking at the color of the sky, but we're taking all the contrast, sharpness, the details of everything and putting it all together in one. So this is amazing and this is great. I love this. I love the detail. I love the coloring and the shadows that are happening within this image. So just a normal thing. It almost looks like if I were to have fallen and then kind of looked up, right? And that's what I like. So good job. Okay. Oh, it's going to tell me what it is. Water Drops on Leaves by Jim Alexander. Jim Alexander. Cool. Jim, what kind of leaves are these? And I like that the water drops are here. Now, did you shoot this with a macro lens or just like, did you get as close as you can with your lens? I do like this. Only thing is I don't know what kind of leaves these are. There's not enough depth or enough shadow, let's just call it hard contrast, for me to focus on any one thing. I can tell there's water droplets on the leaf. I'd tell you're really close. But this right here is very distracting. So when we're creating art, creating these images, we want to tell a story. It would have been cooler if we just cropped maybe to here, something like that, that I have to actually guess what it is, right? You can say water on leaves all day. And then I would look at it and I'll be like, oh, I can see the leaves and I can see water droplets on it. But when I'm looking at this, it's almost like it wasn't pre-planned. Like this right here. Like we could have cropped this off easily or photoshopped another leaf into it or something. So something like this aspect. But this is cool. I don't know if you added water or if you just kind of walked by and saw the water. Definitely water on leaves. Actually, this is interesting. It looks like the water... So as I'm looking at this, I can't tell like if the water is sitting or moving. And that's actually really good. The way you shot it. It almost looks like sheets or pillows or something. And honestly, if you didn't say water on leaves, like I wouldn't have known these were leaves. And I can kind of see these leaves right here happening. But it's interesting to see it in monochrome because I think if it was green and I saw it right away, I'm assuming they're green, I would know that they're leaves. But like I said, this is distracting right here, this little top part. All right. Jim Alexander, Old Barn at Bickford Ranch. Cool. I always look at these images and always want to shoot people in them. I don't know if you guys are the same way, but I'm like, oh, I could get a model in here and kill it right now. So Jim, this is a cool barn. This is a cool barn, cool shot. We're against some trees here. And I'm pretty sure it's super old that nobody's allowed in there. I'm sure it'll kill somebody if they do. So I like this. Now I'm going to go through the same critiques as I've said before in the past with others. Angle. Get your angle better. Find out how it looks like from the bottom, from the top, from the side. Get something better that somebody else can't shoot. And it's not about just getting a different angle. It's about seeing what others can't see, right? That's what makes a photographer, is your eye. You be able to see something that I can't see or see something different, right? We can have 30 photographers out here shooting this exact same barn, but somebody's gonna get out there and get something cool and unique and different. And that's what we wanna do. Looking at this though, this is a great historical image. This is a great image that they're gonna look at 50,000 years from now and be like, this is what barns used to look like, because you captured it so well at a high f-stop in the middle of the sun. The only other thing I would Photoshop is this one lone tree right here that's peeking out. because everything looks like it's just a group of trees. You almost don't even focus on it, right? It's just kind of, you know they're trees, but you're not focusing on it. This one tree, if you could just Photoshop that out, it would keep that same focus the whole way. It's nature's fault, but you know, we can play with it a little bit. Oh, okay, this is super cool. So, okay, what is this? Who is this? Patrick Hollingworth, Winter's Flower. Look at this image, guys. Like, this is what I'm talking about. It makes your eye go to where it needs to go. Good paper choice, although I don't think it really affects the image too much, but really good paper choice. It feels like art. Now, okay, it's a flower. Boom, boom. The sun's hitting in a certain spot. I don't know if the background you shot it was super dark and you just kind of played with it, but this is what I like. This is telling me a story. It's so much negative space happening, but I'm focusing on what I need to focus on, and that is so freaking cool. Almost looks like a heart here, looks like a rope. It looks fake, but it's not. So great. Love the negative image, negative background. The only thing I'm saying is, as I'm looking at this, I see some white here, and it's not too much, but if I'm nitpicking, I would clean that up more and make it all dark, but just leave the leaf where it's at and just burn it. Just take a brush and burn it and go through, and that'll be super, super dark. That way my eye doesn't go towards anything. Yeah, that's super cool. All right, Patrick, you're killing the game here. Mushroom 3. There's more than 3 mushrooms, bro. Just kidding. All right, mushroom 3, your use of light and dark, contrast, shadows, highlights is on point right here. So let's look at this, guys. Let's just look at this image. Even from looking here, when I'm looking on the screen of my camera as I'm filming this, you can see what I'm supposed to be looking at. I'm looking at mushrooms. I know they're mushrooms. I'm supposed to be looking at mushrooms. Everything else is dark. So this looks like a close-up shot. This almost looks like a freaking Alice in Wonderland scene, right? Maybe little mushrooms hanging around talking. We just kind of jumped in on them as they're hanging out. But mushrooms against whatever this wood is this wood, rock? I don't know. But our light is where it needs to be. I don't know how much time you actually spent editing or photoshopping this. I don't know if you had light on this or a reflector, but it looks like artificial light. And if it's natural, cool. But either way, I don't care if it's artificial or not. I just think that's what it looks like, and I love it. I love where my eye is going. So this is awesome, guys. This is what I'm talking about here. You guys know where you're supposed to be looking, and you're looking there. Ooh, horsey reflection. Oop, oop, oop. Jesus. I'm stuck. Oh, cool. Pixel tone image, Charles Keene. Mustang sipping on the Mira Loma. Oh, is this Mira Loma? Oh, the back. I think I know where this is. This is cool. This is cool. All right. I like this image. The first thing I would say is bring it down. Make it even. So right now what we're doing is we're showing the reflection of a horse drinking out of the water, the lake, the whatever, but it's too high up here. So I'm looking at here when I should be looking down here. If we could have actually burned this as well to make it a little bit brighter, then we could have actually created almost like a rectangle of the image that would showcase the full image in its entirety. But this is a great shot. He's hanging out, he's drinking. That's my only critique on this. I like the orangey. I am noticing, and I don't know if it's the size of your camera or the pixels, but as I'm looking down here at the bottom, I'm seeing a lot of weird pixelization from printing themselves or digital editing. So I don't know if you added clarity, added texture to your image through Lightroom or through Photoshop, but it might be too much because it's starting to look. And all you got to do is next time when you're editing, just kind of zoom in and see what that's looking like. It's kind of like fake HDR, right? Where we have an HDR button and everything's high def. We don't need that. We want a clear, precise image. But I can tell it's a horse drinking out of water. Charles again. This is called Three Muses. Three Muses. Three Muse? What's the plural of muse? Is it muses? I don't know. Okay. I'm going to ask a stupid question, Charles. What are the muses? I have 1, 2, 3, 4 items. What am I not supposed to look at? So automatically we look here, right? And we look here because the light is coming down on it. I think this image is super cool. The only thing I would take out, which is as hard to think about now, is this whole thing. I would have put this and centered it out under the light and made everything else black or completely dark up top so that the only thing seen is what's in that light. So imagine this coming down, you have the angel kid and Steve, I don't know what that is, Steve over here, and then the light's coming down, so you only have the light in here, light coming down, everything else is black. That would have been super cool. This right here is not enough in the image, even though you have no distortion in it. I don't know why it's there, what it is. Does that make sense? When I look at this image, you obviously have the ability to move things around and change things. So why not take the time to do that so that I know what I'm looking at? That's kind of neat. Is this at a hotel or is that a house? Oh, this is cool. This is cool. This is Bodega Head. Mr. Todd Page. Ooh, this is amazing, buddy. All right, Todd. This is cool. So you're obviously high up. It looks long exposure, so I'm assuming you're on a tripod, you're long exposuring. I do like the option of black and white on this. I think this is cool. What I do like about this is I like the water looks like clouds. Now, me not being a landscape photographer or not taking the time to do it, I do appreciate a good blurred water. I think it's amazing. I think it shows depth. I think it shows movement, and that's really good to do. I hate still water in pictures. I think it's lazy, and I think people aren't taking the time to actually do that. So dropping a 30-second, 1 minute, 2 minute, 6 minute exposure in the middle of the night on a really cool riverbed is beautiful, and that's kind of what we have here. So looking at this, I have no idea what time of day you shot this because of the exposure. Which is fine. It would have been cool if Loch Ness Monster was hanging out here doing something weird, but this looks great. High f-stop, I see the detail and everything. The only thing I would change, if anything, is making this maybe a little bit darker. So there's nothing wrong with going with the extremes, especially on your monochrome images, going to the extreme a little bit more of your darks and your lights. And that will showcase a little bit more. So even making this whole image darker, but then adding up the highlights will show the whites a little bit more. But overall, great image, super scary looking place. Look at this cave. Ooh, murder happens there. Oh, this is cool. Okay. This is cool. Todd Page, topography. That's what it is. I was gonna say topography. This looks like a Disney scene. This looks like something you would see, like a drawing from Milan. I don't know, a scene. This is really good. I don't know actually how you achieve this 100%. But here's what I like about this. Remember I said extremes? He kind of went to the extreme on this. We got this super dark. We can kind of tell what it is. I don't know how foggy that is. But the deeper you look, you see this first mountain's darker. Lighter shade of gray. Lighter shade of gray. Lighter shade of gray. Gray, gray, and then clouds. How deep is that, and how great of a section did you find to make that happen? We can see there's water here, so we have reflection actually coming down, and then we have the darkness of the trees in the silhouette of the water coming up. This is actually a really, really good image. The only thing that I would change, looking up here at the top, I see the sun coming in. Crop it just a little more so I don't see any sun at all. And that would be great because I'm looking at the top and I see a streak of sun, and it kind of takes away the illusion that it's a misty, dark, gory kind of road. I swear to God, if you had like a dragon coming out of here, that would make it even cooler. But you know, dragons aren't around this season. All right, so that is the monochrome, I believe. We're gonna go straight into color here. We're gonna keep this going. Battery's good, 15 minutes in. Cool, 45 minutes in. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Let's go straight into the color. Walking around for WPPI the last 2 days and then Vegas one day, we're tired. So my back is killing me. It's just one of those things. Okay. Let's go, boys. All right, so we're getting there. We're getting a little quicker. I'm trying not to say the same things over again, but I'll kind of redoing that. Hollyhocks, Peter Moores. That's cool. All right, Peter, I really like this. I like this detail. Is this a yellow building? I really like this detail, and I like that the shadows are on the wall. The cool thing with the shadows on the wall is actually looks like it's part of the plant as well. This is actually really good. So I like things in odd numbers, and this almost looks like it's another flower, right? So another flower, 1, 2, 3. This is a good image, but there's nothing much to it. I will say that your wall is in focus. If your target is for me to look at this wall, you did a great job. If it's for the flowers, you missed that focus. So you can decide later. It's called hollyhocks, and I'm assuming this is a hollyhock. I don't know what a hollyhock is. And that's just me being unfamiliar with hollyhocks. Cool. All right, this is Norwegian dancers, Peter Moore's. Oh, is a nomad Norwegian? Because you did that earlier. So she looks terrified. This girl looks terrified. This has to be a candid shot. You were walking around, people were doing a native dance, and you're taking the picture. So this looks great. So let's talk about portraits then. Let's talk about what we're looking for, we're not looking for. We're looking for expression, we're looking for even light. I get this as a candid shot. We're getting the whole body of everything. You look like you're the height of the dude, so maybe you're leaning low and shooting up a little bit, and you're shooting at a really high f-stop. One thing that I really want you to focus on is targeting my focus. So I would like to see this shot at 2.8, f4, 1.8, 2.0 if you can, and let me know what you're looking at so that I can look at it too. My natural focus would be towards this girl moving, blur out the background, blur out this, or even getting a different angle, targeting this lady, shooting through these people, and then blurring them out as well. Otherwise, I mean, it's a great image. Everything looks good, super candid, no direction to them, and she looks terrified. So either she doesn't know the dance or she doesn't like the guy. And we can talk about that later because that's a whole different thing. Fritz, you're back again with ADAC building. This is a cool building. So Fritz, at WPPI right now, I don't know if anybody's here right now with us. I see a lot of people with their camera standing and just doing this and shooting up. Really with these buildings, it's all you can do, right? So I'm assuming you picked this building, you picked this image because of the colors, because we're doing the color section now. And yes, the colors are popping. I see some blues, whites, grays, greens, yellows, oranges. Cool choice on the building. If there was a way for you to get rid of this part, I would have suggested that. Maybe different angle to shoot up or something like that. But there's nothing else really I can say about it that I haven't said before. The only thing that irks me is that some of the windows, and you have no play in this, ma'am, is some of the windows, their blinds are off. And that's what I'm seeing here. I'm seeing some of the blinds that are off. If you are great at Photoshop, you can actually crop out this, add it to these other pieces to make it similar. But otherwise, good job on the color aspect. Next time, I would crop off this part and take away the blue. And that way I'm just looking at this building, and then it would make me be like, what am I looking at? Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. So I feel like you guys just travel a lot. I feel like you guys get to travel everywhere, and that's awesome. So music hall at Munich residence. This is Fritz again. And Fritz, you're walking on tour and living the dream. Yeah, colors are bomb, dude. Colors are amazing. Even this blue right here, you have this blue coming in. So I'm assuming that the blue is just natural light coming in. I don't know if the windows are blue. And then we have our tungsten. We have a light here. This looks great. The only thing, Fritz, is like we said before, and we'll go through these quickly, I don't know where I'm looking. I don't know what I'm supposed to be looking at. I see these people down here. So if this was lit more and then this was just darker a little bit, that'd be cool. Or the other thing is maybe just make me see light. And then this is lit, dark everything else, right? You can play with that in dodging and burning. I'm a big dodger and burner. I think it's a great way to do it. I think every image should be finished with dodging and burning in some way. But this is kind of a cool location. I even like the top floor. It almost looks old until I see the chairs on the top floor, but that's just me assuming at that time. Wait, is this color? Is this color? Win Nap, Field of Cornflowers. Okay, I mean, I don't know if this is color or not. This looks like a drawing. Win. This looks like a drawing. So then it leads the question of, is this a photo now, or is this a creative art, computer manipulated digital file? I don't care, to be honest. I think this looks cool. But I don't, is this a negative? What is this? What am I looking at? So it looks like these, you know, plants I see all the time. I don't know what they're called, little poppies, little whatever. And it's kind of in a field. It looks like you've taken an image of these, wherever they are, removed all the color, and all I'm seeing now is just dark shadows of what was there before. Shadow, 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 shadow of bushes, trees, more. They almost look like sperm, like sperms coming up. Is sperms, is that how you say it? Is it sperm or like more sperm? Like I have 12 sperm? Sperm. But this is neat. This is cool. This would be actually a really good giant wallpaper. Like even if you printed these a bunch of times and sold it as wallpaper, you totally could. I don't know much to say about this. That's neat. I don't know if that's black and white. It's in this order, so I'm sorry if it was. Oh, cowgirl. I love this. I wanted to get one of these for my son. He's 2, and I want to do a little Woody shoot for him because he loves Toy Story right now. Samantha Bellwood looking into the sun. So you shoot kids, I shoot kids. We got kids. This is super cute. Good depth of focus here. So see how that background's blurred? My eye directly goes to this cute little cowgirl holding that. Not much I can say about this. This is actually a really good shot. I would again urge you to look at the exposure of the subject's face. Her face is just a little bit blown out, and what you could have done is just brought down the exposure of everything, or the exposure of everything around her, brought her down too, and just focused on her face a little bit. That's where I'm going. Other than that, it's a really good shot. I would have loved to see some action shots of these if you had her just kind of galloping back and forth and getting this really cool laughter expression of her, because that's where I feel she's going right now. She looks like somebody stole the body of this horse, and she's like, hey, I see it there, give it back to me. It's morbid, but that's fun. That's life and death. Where am I at? Fresh to death. Okay, so we're Samantha Bellwood, baby Joy. I wonder if this baby's named Joy or it's like Happy Joy. This is super cute. So I shoot a lot of kids, a ton of kids, and this just looks like a fun little shot. I don't know if it was staged or set up, but you're shooting down on a little kid, window light to the right, and just naturally lit and easy. I love the expression on this baby. I love everything about it. The only thing I would change is the color of the sheets, so that the color of the sheets or the design of the sheets doesn't pull away from the baby. So white sheets is kind of a reason we do solid color sheets, is that we get to focus on what we want to focus on. The only other thing is I would make sure, I think the eye's in focus. I think that's where I'm looking at. So this looks like it was shot with like, I don't know, like a really low f-stop, maybe like f4 or something like that, because the ear is super blurred out and our target's eye. And this is a cute image. Just as cute, general, normal. Not that that's a bad thing. There's just not much to say about it. But a cute baby of Joy. That's well lit. I mean, I like it lit. It feels good, and good expression. So I think you were like, hey baby, just kind of talking. So super cute. Marie Schreiber, Mono Lake Reflections. And that's a reflection. Look how cool that is. So there's obviously a little bit of wind going on here with the reflection, and we have a little bit of movement down here. So like depending on the time of day, you can actually go and there's like glass, right? So it's like glass. There's no there's no movement at all, and it gets this really cool reflection. This looks awesome. Now the only issue I'm running into is that I don't know where the focal point of this is, or if this was shot and it's too pixelated when it gets bigger. The only other thing I would have done, Marie, is get lower so you don't actually see these mountains, or Photoshop these mountains out completely in the back, because then it would just look like this one weird looking mountain in front with the water. And then I would have Photoshopped maybe a couple of these things out here on the side just to kind of bring our image in. Now, I know it's not true to life, but Photoshopping will help you by helping me look at what I need to look at. Great. Oh, this is a cool. Marie Schreiber, Dubrovnik Harbor. I have no idea where that is, but how cool is this? So this is like an old historic place, and we got some boats. Oh, there's a ton of people here. Everything looks great. So, like we said in the past, I need to know what I'm looking at. I don't know where I need to be focusing on. I don't know, you know, there's some dirt here. It would be cool just to see just the water, no dirt, and what I'm looking at, what I'm focusing on. So I get it. You're walking around, you take your camera out, you see this beautiful area, and you want to document it. But document it for me. Tell me what I'm looking at while I'm looking at it. Otherwise, this looks great. It looks cool. You did like kind of like a sepia tone to the edit, and the sky actually looks really, really cool here too. And it looks windy because the flag is flying hard. Looks great. Look, kind of a touristy spot, right? Right. Nobody's talking to me. I'm here by myself. Well, my daughter's over there. Okay. This is Linda Sharif. Oh, is this? Are you with Yaz? Levant Mine. Cool. Okay. I don't know where to look. I don't know where to look. You guys hear me say that a lot, and hopefully it kind of drills into your head, but like it's our job to tell people where to look. Anytime I take a photo, I'm telling you where you're looking, and I don't know where to look. So this is, just by the name, it's a mine, right? Is this an entrance? No, this looks like it goes up. This goes up? No, it goes down. No, it goes up. I don't know. It goes up or down, but I would have liked the focus to be on one of these with something else in the background. This with something else in the background. Center this. There's a cool bird that's almost cropped up off top. And then we look down into the water. I don't know how high it is from the ground, if that makes sense. But yeah, so this is very snapshotty to me, which is fine for documenting, right? To getting that look, but tell me a story. If you're taking the image, taking the time to take that image, just take 2 more seconds and just grab that focal point and figure out what it is I need to look at. It's harder with color, because with color we're competing with other things. Greens, blues, browns, dark blue. We're competing with so many things. So if you don't have that focus, that light and that dark, I don't know where to look. Ooh, that is green. Okay. Linda, so I think Disappearing Causeway. Okay, so by the name of it, this is the focus, is down here. This Disappearing Causeway, right? Which I think this is what a causeway is. Good, thank you for telling me that. And I'm looking at this, there's this cool mountain. This is super green and vibrant, so I think you add a little bit of vibrancy to your edit. But we have these buildings down here, and we have another building up top. And I don't know if I need to see those because of where you're focusing on. I would have liked more of a high shot down, camera up, down, to get the causeway disappearing itself, showing me that the water is coming through. And then if you could have thought about it at the time, which I don't think you might not have, because this is what I'm thinking of now, is doing a long exposure of this, throwing a filter on there, an ND filter, and then doing a long exposure of the water kind of going through that emptying causeway, disappearing causeway. But overall, this looks like a really cool area to visit and hang out. I mean, look how small these people are, so that gives me some depth on how big the place is. And I don't know if it's getting ready for like an event, because there's like a weird white tent here, so that looks a little bit too modern for me. That's a cool area. You guys must travel. I don't know. I don't travel. Okay, Yaz. Yeah, so different people. Gil's scared by drone. Who was flying the drone? I would name this just bird scared, because there's no drone in the picture. If that makes sense, it does. So Yaz, I'm looking at this, and whenever I look at these competitions, I actually take the whole paper into consideration. I don't know if you meant to have this like cut like a strip, but I don't necessarily like that there's so much white happening everywhere, and I don't know if that's part of your image or not. Since it is cropped off right here, I'm assuming that it's not supposed to be part of the image. I'm assuming this is just the image right here, so we're gonna look at that, but just know that like whatever you present is what I'm gonna be looking at. I would have liked it to even be longer and bigger, if that would have made sense. So there's an issue with cropping in too much. So if your sensors aren't high and you're trying to crop in too much, everything looks cartoony, and this looks cartoony. In fact, even like this bird right here is missing a wing because of the sensor. It's not showing up enough. It was shot on a really high shutter because there's freezing, To make it more artsy, you could have shot this on a slower or a lower shutter and made it blurry, and that would have been cool too. Anything standing still would have been still, everything else moving would have moved. It's a good image. So I believe that it was scared by a drone, but it also just looks like birds getting up at once, running around. Good image, but just think of that paper type, please. All right, let's long exposure this. We got Brenner, M. Brenner, waterfall, New Zealand. Long exposure shot. This looks great. M. Brenner. There's a lot of blur happening in this entire picture. There's a lot of blur. So let's either decide that if the blur is happening because you're overprinting from your pixel size, meaning that you need a higher sensor camera, or that you took a long exposure shot and shook the camera at the same time at some point, meaning that you had it at like a 30-second shutter or whatever, and when you took the picture and you took your finger off, that was enough to move it, to make it happen. Some things that I do for that is I set my camera to a 2-second or a 10-second self-timer and push the button, walk away, let it take its picture, let it be done. It takes a little more time, but it works out pretty well. There's just a lot of blur in this picture, and sadly, it takes away from everything. I can tell the water's moving, I can tell it's long exposure shot, but all right in here, all this highlight and detail is completely gone. Let's take the time. I mean, you are in New Zealand, man. Oh my God, I'm sure this was an amazing area. And you know, it's okay to even go wider. It's okay to even show me more of it. Right now, this could either be a big waterfall or it could be a tiny, tiny creek that you made look like a big waterfall. So something like that, which is kind of the cool thing about it. Great shot, but let's work on those pixels. And if you are getting into photography and printing, it's okay. Like, I'll give you some tips on cameras to buy that aren't gonna break the bank. And that's if that's the pixels. If you move the camera, then you should be good. See, this is different. Please. So this is Brenner. Okay, M. Brenner. Look, this is more in focus and this is more sharp. Yeah, so maybe it was camera shake. Because if you're using the same camera, this is great. This is cool. This is all cool. Now, dodging, burning again. I want to know, am I supposed to focus on the river, the water, and everything else looks in play. It looks like it's more focused back in here than up here, so you're probably targeting this area when you took the picture. But this area is just super cool. I would have loved to see it even wider if possible, or figuring out where I need to look. So if I need to look at the water, then it's okay to kind of burn the edges here a little bit to get to the water. But this is a great overall landscape image, high f-stop. I do see some pixelization happening here, but I do see more focus here. So I think your focus was off on the top right when it should have been maybe the middle here or even the water. Guys, I know I'm going through the landscape shots pretty quickly, but there's only so much you can do. If we're just looking at a general entire landscape, but nothing's really in focus, it's hard for me to talk about what should be in focus because I don't know what you're thinking of. So when you're shooting a landscape, I get it. Landscapes are easy for a lot of people, but they're not. Landscapes are one of the toughest things to shoot. I don't shoot landscapes for that reason. And the landscapes that I tend to go to have some sort of light painting, have some sort of focus on what I'm looking at to make it amazing. Standing on a high surface, shooting down on a location isn't landscape photography. You have to make sure that you are getting what I need to see in focus. So finding one thing that gets you there and then everything else just being in the background is amazing. So keep that in mind. As I go through these, I'm kind of looking at them and I'm going, all right, it's a landscape shot. I get it. But what am I looking at? Like, you know, water, river, trees, autumn, stuff like that. So if I don't find a focus, it's hard for me to find that focus. All right, this is Mount Denali postcard, Judy Duffy. So we saw Mount Denali earlier. And all right, this is cool. So here's actually what I like most. I like that these are sitting in the water. They're not in the water, but they're kind of like, it looks like they're in the water. So this looks like it's in focus, or this looks like it should be my focus, but the mountain is really in focus. So I don't know if this is a stacked image or not. And what stacked image is multiple images put together at different f-stops to make it look like one image. And I'm not sure if that's what's happening here, but this is a general stand area. We have some cloudage. The lake is glass right here, meaning the lake is not moving, so which is rare to get. And the clouds are in the lake, which actually I think is really cool. I love that. But overall, beautiful mountain, beautiful backdrop. Very cool. I would have changed the angle just a little bit more. If you could have gotten lower, I know you probably would have fallen in the water by then. But getting the reflection of the mountain in the water would have been even cooler. There's a little bit in there, but like a bigger one, you know. You know what I'm saying? You know? You know what I'm saying? I've seen these before. Lake, Mono Lake Serenity, Judy Duffy. Okay, Judy, everything I said in the past, or in the last one, same exact thing. Lower, better angle, and just figuring out what I'm focusing on. So if we look here, we see the reflection of glass, right? It looks really kind of neat and cool. I wonder if you shot the black and white in the same water. It's the same, these are the same, but I wonder if something changed, because this is glass right now. It looks really, really cool, but it kind of stops. Cool, 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 stops. I would have liked to see maybe this angle more, to see more of it. I have no idea what's happening here, so maybe a reason you stopped it, but as I'm looking at that, the unevenness of it is killing that OCD in my head right now. But these are cool, these are awesome. I would have even, I don't know if you could have, like, just eliminated all these in general and just focused on this. Sometimes less is more. Oh, we got some mushrooms coming again. We got some mushrooms. We're almost there, guys, you're doing great. Patrick, mushroom. This one, Patrick, mushroom. How cool is this, guys? Use of color. Now we're kind of telling a story with the black and white. I don't know where you are with these mushrooms, but it looks like the light is coming from above, and you're just capturing these naturally, which is great. I love the use of the dark here that's happening. I don't know if you dodged and burned this, but all this dark, what's happening is all this dark's happening here, and it's bringing me to the center of that mushroom. Looks great, well lit, good shallow depth of field, good focus on what I need to focus on. Spider webs happening there. I don't know if those are spider webs or not, but cool beans, bro. Same paper, I think, again. This is Patrick again with red flower. And same thing. So Patrick, I think I see your style. I don't know if this is your style or if this is what you've just happened to present on all 4 of your images. What I want you to be careful is anything this close, make sure that your focus is on point. I'm looking at this and I want the top to be in focus, but it looks like some of the middle leaves are in focus. I don't know what this is. Is this a flower? But this is really cool. Actually, these reds right here are really, really cool. Now, this is art, right? You have this on the bottom right, but you don't have it enough to the bottom right to be centered in the rules of third, if that makes sense. And I don't always follow these rules of third, but sometimes you have to. I would have liked this more in the middle, or just like bottom right here where I have same sides of dark on both sides that my eye will go to it directly. But this is a good shot, man. This is really cool. Okay, Dolly Museum. Charles, if you had to, if you could have, I would have loved for you to Photoshop the people out. I don't know if you know how to or if you can. One company that I use is called retouchup.com. They will do it for like $2. But these people right here in the middle, they're obviously not part of the picture. They're obviously just walking around. You're taking a picture and they're there. And I don't like that. I don't like that it feels like a snapshot to me, because when you're taking a picture like that, you're not taking the time to move them, to wait, or to Photoshop them out. And I'm not saying that that's what you're doing, but that's the impression that I'm getting. And the impression I'm getting is that you're walking through, you're like, oh, cool, got it. And then walking away without really like making sure that everything's in focus. You're using a really wide lens, and we can tell because this guy's distorted here. Same thing with this guy and this couple out here. They're just there. Taking that second to remove them would be amazing. And also upping the exposure just a little bit to show the whites coming through a little bit harder, right? The whites and the clouds and all that would have been looking really cool. This looks like a great, it's a museum. So, I mean, yeah, museums have art, curvature and art, just being able to see that. Charles again with beach scene, Jupiter, Florida. This looks frantic as heck, and actually that's what I like about it. So you have this girl with a love bag, and I don't know if she knows she's in this picture or not, but she's a focus, right? And I asked that question because there's so much going on that I want to know what the focus is. So I'm assuming she's a focus. This dude's parasailing, and it's so windy that the parasailing's flying away. You got 2 other dudes in the water parasailing, 3 dudes, in just a very windy day on the beach, and it's telling that story of life and good. So you're telling a story with this. This is probably my favorite image of yours out of this series that we've presented today. I just like this part, this windy part right here. If anything, I don't know how still she was saying, but like if somebody's standing that still, or you had maybe just something that you can focus on, doing a long exposure with the water would look really cool because everything else would be blurred out and it would be more artsy. Oh, 2 more and you guys are done with me? Be sad. Be sad, please. Be sad. All right, Cold Mountain, Todd Page. Is it called Cold Mountain or is it just cold? Okay. Guys, so Todd, I know I critiqued some of your images last time, and I think you've taken it to heart, which is actually amazing. So let's look at this image real quick. What was everything I was saying? Let's find that different perspective. Todd's low to the ground on this, guys. He's low to the ground and he's shooting up with a wide angle lens. And what's happening is that we're getting a perspective that we don't naturally get, which makes it beautiful to us. It makes it feel artsy because it's not the stand shot, right? We're using a wide enough lens, it distorts the edges here a little bit, but it's pulling into the center. So right now, this is the brightest part of the image. I'm looking directly at that, and I'm going up into this cold. And I feel cold because it's blue. There's a blue tint to it, and he's telling a story. This is exactly what we need. The only thing, Todd, that I would say to remove, if you can, and it's kind of hard, this tree right here, making it symmetrical, or even with this, at least just pulling this tree out so that I just see clouds, mountains, lake, and then whatever else this is down here. That's all I would say is critique. Otherwise, it's a beautiful image. Todd, high desert drama. So now we have the warmth. So guys, and I don't want to really do this, but do you see this? When we're looking at these 2 colors, we see cold and we see warm. Cold, warm, right? Using the color tones that we have is doing it. So this is high desert drama. I immediately get the warm sensation, and I get rocks. Off-centered rocks, and the desert. Now, when I think of desert, I don't think of rocks, but we live in a desert and we have rocks everywhere, so I totally get it. And this looks great. High saturation, high clarity, high sharpness are kind of pulling everything in together. This is I don't want to say standard image, but this is a stand-up shot image, which is fine. I know I'm supposed to look at this, and I don't like that it's falling like this. I don't like that there's nothing happening here, but there's only things we can do with nature. I think if we would have gotten closer to this and shot it at an angle, closer in, shot it at an angle to get just clouds and maybe no ground, that would have created a cooler image. But this is great. I love the dark and the warm, and then, or the cold and then the warm and everything. Guys, that's it. I'm going to go ahead and critique these for you guys. I hope nobody got offended. I hope you guys understand what I'm saying. I hope it kind of came through. I feel like I just spout words at that whole time. So thank you guys so much. I'm going to get these to you guys soon. And if you have questions or comments, please let me know. And thank you for the opportunity for doing this. Hope you guys having a good day. I will talk to you later. Oh, I'll put the scores down as well. But you guys all did great. And thank you for actually letting people critique your work. That's a huge step. Bye.